Hello guys, it's David here. Hope you're doing really well. So yesterday I did a very sort of small introductory video on my chronic condition, which is benign fasciculation syndrome. I kind of did about 4 minutes and then I had a few problems with the camera, so I thought this would be an ideal time to do the first video as an introductory hello. My name's David, as you know. So I have been suffering from benign fasciculation for 6 years now, and you would have seen that on my first video. So today the topic that I was going to start with was actually how it all started. And for most of you who are watching, you're probably thinking, oh, I'm a bit worried, I'm a bit scared. If you're watching this, like I say, you probably are kind of suffering twitching or certainly some panic towards the condition. Obviously, a lot of people that initially do get diagnosed with this or on the onset of this condition do, have a lot of fears that it could well be something a little bit more sinister, or considerably more sinister, like motor neuron or MS, or there's a whole plethora of neurological conditions. So I'm going to give you a little rundown of what happened approximately 6 years ago when the condition first manifested itself. My first recollection of twitching was, crikey, as I say, about 6 years ago. Now, the one thing that I noticed was, for a couple of days I didn't notice any sort of twitching, but I felt my calves felt very weird. They don't know, they just felt, I don't know, like I'd exercised a lot. A little bit heavy maybe, but I think I kind of put it down to exercising too much or something. And anyway, it kind of continued for a couple of days, and I remember looking down and eventually sort of looking at my calf muscles and seeing like it pops like popcorn under the skin. And I was like, oh, what's going on here? And then I looked at the other leg and and I was like, wow, that's twitching as well. Okay, this is a bit freaky. And got a doctor's appointment pretty quickly. And so I said to the GP, how this is all going on. Did all the neurological tests. He did notice a slight brisk reflex in my right knee. I think it's hyperflexia, I think it's called. So that kind of prompted him to do some neurological investigation. Everything else was fine, and it was very interesting because I had numerous neurological visits with neurologists before then. And their perception of what's brisk and what's not is very subjective. So please bear that in mind, and it doesn't mean, I know, sort of having read loads of forums, oh, you've got brisk reflexes in one leg, it's really bad, and I'm fine. Anyway, so kind of like over the course of 6 months, the anxiety and the panic really ramped up because, of course, I went to Dr. Google. And before I knew it, I was convinced that I had motor neuron syndrome and motor neuron disease. And I really went downhill both mentally and physically, and I can't emphasize enough the power of the mind. And you'll see a little clip in a bit of me when I was at the gym a little bit earlier, and explaining that because I was so mentally unwell because of the anxiety and the panic, I could barely walk around the block. And my mind and my brain had it completely convinced me that I was dying. I was wasting away. I wasn't really. There was nothing really to live for, and it was pretty horrendous. Now, I think it's noteworthy to add in that period that my twitches went from the calves to absolutely everywhere. And I remember very clearly the first EMG that I had, and this is something you may well have had, or you may well be pending. It's a little invasive test where they will give you some electric shocks, nothing too horrendous, don't worry, and some like acupuncture needles in various places, muscle groups and stuff. And to the best of my knowledge, again, as I say, I'm not a medical professional, but so please bear that in mind. It's to diagnose nerve damage. And the first chap, sort of very lovely guy, put all the needles in and did all his thing and kind of came away, and results were fine. And so I was kind of relieved for a bit, and I think, but the twitches kind of sort of persisted, so I went to a private neurologist who didn't do the EMG, but he assessed me, said it was probably anxiety related, and then I had a follow-up, 2 further private EMGs, which were basically everywhere, even one in the side of my tongue, which actually was nowhere near as bad as what it might sound. So yeah, and so it kind of persisted and went on and on and on, and during that time I'd really spiraled into a whole world of anxiety, and it got to the point where reassurance was just not enough. So that is where I'm going to leave it today, because I want to make my next video. You'll get a little tag on at the end of me at the gym explaining this great go and work out, and because there's going to be so many different questions, so many different things going on in people's mind, and testing of muscles, and everybody gets panicky and they test their strength, and I went through all of that. Luckily I've managed to shift my focus away from that anxiety and worry, which is great. And yeah, so I'm going to leave it there today, but that's a brief overview of what happened at the beginning, certainly within the first year. And despite everything being diagnosed clear, cool, all good, repeat EMGs and all the rest of it, I still needed some, I wasn't convinced, basically. So, but we'll go on to the next things I did to overcome it. We'll talk about twitches in different parts of the body in the next video as well. Enjoy the little add-on at the end, like I said, me at the gym, passing a bit of time. And I really hope you're well. If you have any questions, please make a comment. Please be respectful on the comment board, please. And if I can possibly answer, I certainly will. There is a link to my Patreon page where I will have a little bit more time, and I can do some, I will be doing some supplementary videos as well, that might provide further reassurance. But in the meantime... Hi guys, it's David here. Hope you're doing well. This is my second video about learning to live with benign fasciculation syndrome. I'm in the gym today, so there's going to be a little introduction. So it's kind of be a little bit garbled up, so I need to put it in the editor to make sure that everything's kind of in sequence. But anyway, one of the things that really does help me is going to the gym and exercising. Now, a lot of you people who may be suffering from this, maybe in the early stages, they may be very scared, and they may be feeling some perceived weakness. It was something that I certainly felt when I started off. In fact, the depression and the anxiety was so great at the beginning of my journey that I could barely walk around the block. So I can't tell you the power of the mind, because absolutely It's such a powerful tool, but it's also such a destructive tool as well. And because at that time I felt that I had motor neuron disease and I was absolutely packing myself, my brain just went into complete meltdown. I developed whatever, chronic fatigue, whatever, but I could barely walk around the block. Absolutely frightening. I've just done 2k now on the treadmill. The usual aches and pains, because I'm not quite as young as I was. I've just done 150. I've just done 150. Sorry, that was my alarm. I've just done 150 reps, dumbbell reps as well, light and heavy too. So whenever you're feeling that you are not in a good place, I mean, exercise, we should be doing this every day anyway, and of course it's difficult. Sometimes it's very hard to be motivated. Even the slightest step, even a walk, is invaluable. So I'll leave you with that. I've done a good hour here in the gym. We're 6 years into the BFS, and my muscles are twitching everywhere. They do not stop. So maybe we'll get you a little bit of that later as well to see. Have a good day, guys. Take care.